Welcome to a new way. He has put you on a new journey. Hold close to him and follow what he says. Sent the final prophet Muhammad to mankind a mercy. Welcome to a new way. He has put you on a new journey. Hold close to him and follow what he says. Sent the final prophet Muhammad to mankind a mercy. Welcome to a new way. He has put you on a new journey. Hold close to him and follow what he says. Sent the final prophet Muhammad to mankind a mercy. Welcome to a new way. He has put you on a new journey. Hold close to him and follow what he says. Sent the final prophet Muhammad to mankind a mercy.
In alhamdulillah, wa salat wa salam ala wa rasulullah. I'd like to welcome everybody to our series entitled The Sacred Bonds of Marriage. The Sacred Bonds of Marriage. And this is the series wherein I discuss a book that is written by one of my students, Brother Daryl Abdullah Kurt. For those of you who have not yet purchased the book, please go to Amazon.com. The book is only $13. It's called The Sacred Bonds of Marriage, and I strongly encourage anyone who's even considering getting married to purchase this book, because this isn't a problem with us today as Muslims. Another problem we have. Another problem that we have as a nation is that we don't understand the rules or the guidelines when it comes to doing things in Islam. We just jump up and do them. We don't understand the rules, the guidelines, the boundaries, and we end up making ourselves very unhappy as a result. So before anyone embarks upon the journey of marriage, I strongly encourage you to educate yourself about it. You need to know what your roles are as husbands and wives. You need to know what your rights are, what's expected of you, and all of that, the virtues, the benefits, the pros, the cons, all of that before we embark upon any new journey, be it marriage, be it divorce, or anything else. And with that said, for this class, we're covering today, I think it's chapter 27 of the book. And we will be continuing our discussion of polygamy. When I did this class last week and we began our discussion on polygamy, many of you who are converts, who come from non-Muslim backgrounds, many of you, I have a lot of Mormons, ex-Mormons here. I have a lot of new Shahadas who used to be Mormons. Yes. And I have some that were not religious per se, but they just were living the life. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You know, just living a life. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So they were shocked at what they learned about polygamy, because Islam is a religion and a beautiful way of life that has guidelines that has to be abided by, even when it comes to polygamy. It's not a sex thing. Oh, no. It's a responsibility thing. Any man that embarks upon the journey of taking on more than one wife, he has to understand that these are separate households. That's the one thing that I think was a big shock, because my ex-Mormons that I have here, they're typing now. My ex-Mormons, they were shocked because they were brought up believing that they're all one happy family. No, they're separate families. So that was a big shock. Also, every woman has the right to her own home. Her own home. We don't live together. We're not the little house on the prairie. You know, this ain't the little house on the prairie. You know, every wife has her own accommodations, her own home, her own life, everything. And I think they were also shocked to find out we're not sister wives either. We don't use that type of terminology. Oh, no. When a man takes on another wife, it ain't none of my business. That was shocking. They were shocked to find out that the first wife has no power. You know, she doesn't make the rules. She doesn't make schedules. You know, and we are not getting to know. The man doesn't even have to tell you he's taking on a second or third or fourth wife. You know, it's none of your business. And I think the biggest shock of all was for my new shahadas to understand that since you're not all one big happy family, your children are your children. Your children are not the children that the other women have. Their children are not yours. We don't share parenthood. We don't share husbands, and we don't share parenthood. You know, you have no rights over nobody's children but your own. You can't tell nobody's children what to do except your own, because the children are the responsibility of their parents, their mother, their father. You're not their mother. So it ain't none of your business what goes on with that child and his life and his family. So there were a lot of things that were a shock to some of my new shahadas. And wait, let me bring my other computer in. I didn't know that I didn't join it. I'm gonna need it in order to show the PowerPoint. So let me get it in here. Okay. Yeah. So many of my new shahadas, especially my Mormons, the ex-Mormons, were surprised to learn the reality. Welcome to Sunnahfollowers. Welcome to Islam. Okay. Welcome to the way to paradise, the correct way to paradise. It ain't through a capsule. It ain't about burying a capsule on the prairie. It ain't about sisterhoods and living and sharing the work and all of that. Nope. So having discussed last week what qualifies a person, a man and women too. We talked about how it takes a certain type of woman that can enter into a polygamous marriage too. Because number one, you know, she's going to feel a lot of loneliness. She's going to feel a lot of loneliness. So you got to be able to handle that, because you don't have no man there with you 24/7. You got your nights and that's it. Okay? Your nights, that's it. And also the jealousy. Because even though we don't live together and it's none of your business what goes on in another person's house, the human soul is criminal by nature. The human soul is curious by nature. You're going to want to know what's going on in the other houses. You're going to want to know, is he calling her the same nice, sweet names he's calling you, or is he showing her more love and affection than you? So that's just part of the female nature. We're jealous by nature, which is not a bad thing. But we have to know how to control it. It has to be a controlled jealousy. You know, that whereas you don't transgress the limits of Allah and end up violating the rights of another woman or violating the rights of your husband. So we discussed all of that. And so having discussed that, today we're going to continue on the journey of trying to understand polygamy in Islam. And let me put on the screen my PowerPoint. And for those of you who have not yet purchased the book, this is how the book looks. And the book is on Amazon.com. You can, wait a minute, let me move this out the way so I can see. Oh, here we go. Where am I at? Layla. You go to Amazon.com. The book is called Sacred Bonds. That's how it looks. The book is written by Brother Daryl Abdullah Kirk, who's one of my students. It's entitled Sacred Bonds, Navigating the Depths of Muslim Matrimony and the Family. And tonight we're going to be covering chapter 27, which addresses how to embrace. Now that you meet the criteria, we're going to now embrace and embark upon this polygamy journey. So we'll be covering tonight pages 174 through 179. And then tomorrow we'll complete this chapter. So let's get started. I know some of you have things to do. And again, polygamy has always been and always will be a controversial topic. And it's practiced differently in different cultures. I want you guys to understand, as a Muslim, your culture is Islam. When we declare La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah, we are declaring allegiance to Allah, allegiance to the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, allegiance to each other and to the religion of Islam. So that means everything we do in accordance of Islam, not in accordance of the Mormons, the Kafirs, none of that stuff. Okay? And I want you guys to understand the meaning of a few terms. There's different types of polygamy. Okay? You have polyandry. Polyandry is when you have women who have multiple husbands. Oh yeah, there are some societies where the women are allowed to take on multiple husbands. That's called polyandry. Polygamy allows a man to take on multiple wives. And then you have polyamory. Polyamory refers to engaging in multiple romantic and sexual relationships with the consent of all parties involved. As you all know, this stuff is haram. The only thing lawful here is polygamy, okay? In our religion, polygamy is what is practiced, and it's also permissible. Everything that Allah made lawful is good and clean. So I don't want to hear any of you sisters who have problems, especially you older women that are closer to the slave days. You know what that means? I'm talking about you sisters in your 80s and 90s and hundreds. Y'all close to the slave days. And I know a lot of you in that age bracket got some serious hatred in your heart about polygamy because of the way you were treated by the men in your personal life. Don't blame it on Allah. Blame it on yourself for choosing sorry, piss poor men. That's just the reality. But everything that Allah made lawful is good and clean. Just like everything that Allah made haram is bad and dirty. Polygamy is good and lawful, good and clean. Okay, so and what makes polygamy good and clean is that there are rules and guidelines and boundaries set by Allah, because Allah knows his creation better than the creation knows itself. So for our betterment, for our contentment in life and our mental safety and mental health, Allah set guidelines that must be abided by. And if those guidelines are not abided by, then that's when divorce, which is also good and clean, becomes permissible. Okay? So we don't imitate the Mormons. And it makes me very angry when I see here and look and see these Muslim groups on Facebook where you women and men are imitating the Kafirs. Y'all calling yourselves sister wives. There ain't no sister wives. The prophet said anyone who imitates a nation other than ours is not one of us. We don't imitate the Mormons. The fact that you are imitating them and using their terms and terminology means you're one of them. You're not one of us. So there are no sister wives. And we are not all one big happy family. Our lives are separate. My business is mine. You don't dip your nose in my affairs with my husband, and I don't dip my nose in your affairs with my husband either. Your business is yours. To you be your way, me be mine. To you be your business, to me be mine. That's the first rule. And that's why a lot of these relationships end up being abusive, because you Muslims come into it trying to be like TV. This ain't no scripted program. You guys watch too much television. Y'all watch that TLC crap about sister wives and TLC crap about looking for polygamy, and y'all try to come in here and think that you're going to adapt that Kafir lifestyle into Allah's laws, and that's why you end up in divorce court and counseling, your children molested and everything else. Oh yeah, hanky panky always leads to stanky, and that's what happens. Whenever we violate or transgress the boundary set by Allah, it leads to hanky-panky, and that's always stanky. All right, so as Muslims, we practice polygamy the way Allah ordained it, not the way you see on scripted TV. And again, polygamy is permissible for any man who's Muslim, but there's a condition. The condition is he has to treat each wife justly. What does that mean? That means he has to be just with his time. You can't favor one wife over the other by spending more time with her than the others. We talked about how Aisha radiyallahu anha told us how the prophet practiced polygamy. If it was not your night, the prophet did not have sexual relations with you. Oh yeah. If this is my night, then my husband will only have relations with me. He can't go knocking on the other wives' doors trying to tip. This is my night. That's how the prophet rolled. And like he said, I am better than all of you. He said, the best of us are those who are good to their wives, and I'm better to my wives than any of you men. If it was not your night, the prophet did not have relations with you. And that's what you sisters should make sure that you uphold in these contracts with these brothers when y'all go into them. If it's my night, it's my night. And also, as Aisha radiyallahu anha said, if something happened and the prophet was traveling or doing a battle and he couldn't spend the night with you, he'd have to make it up. When he get back in town or after the battle ended, he'd have to make that, and he'd go to the woman whose night it was that he was not able to fulfill and make it up to her first. Okay? So there's rules and guidelines from our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that you sisters are not even aware of. Okay? And you brothers are not aware of it either. How many of you brothers knew that the Prophet didn't have sexual relations with a wife unless it was her night? If it wasn't her night, he did not touch any other woman. Y'all understand that? You brothers either put it, hey, that's why I tell y'all marry Layla, not Sheba. Oh, yeah. See what happens when you marry a woman that knows her deen? That's why I'm single. You know, these brothers like to marry these converts. You know, that's why I tell you convert sisters, beware. Because these brothers will marry you because you don't know your rights. You don't know anything about the Prophet Muhammad and how he practiced polygamy. You don't know nothing about how he would never have relations with a woman if it wasn't her night. You don't know nothing about that. And the man doesn't want you to know, so that's why he'll marry you converts, and then y'all come crying to me with all this injustice. He ain't gonna marry no woman like Layla. Because I know my rights and he is too. I know my role and he is too. And I'm going to tell you, I ain't tolerating. I see you messing up. It's going to be some issues. I'm talking Lorena Bobbitt issues. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm single, guys. But that's why I tell you convert sisters to be careful. I wouldn't recommend any of you women going into no polygamous situation until you learn your deen, because these brothers take advantage of y'all so bad, they wouldn't pull that crap on somebody like me. Are you kidding? Yeah. So anyway, polygamy comes with conditions that were and rules that were set by Allah. And also we have an example in the Prophet Muhammad. Allah says in the Quran, you will find the perfect example in the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So a woman that knows her deen, like Layla Nashiba, knows how the Prophet did it. Because I know all Aisha's fatwas. Mm-hmm. And I want it just like him. I want you to do just like him. Okay. Okay. And while Islam does not mandate polygamy is not obligatory, meaning that you don't have to do it. It does encourage it, especially if there is a shortage of men like we have today. You have a lot of elderly women like myself who need companionship. Oh, yeah. You got people like Sabrine, people like, the old ladies in my website. They established, they're self-sufficient, they're independent. They need some companionship because Allah didn't create nobody to be alone. So polygamy is good for that. The shortage of men, a lot of widows and elderly ladies, also orphans, women with children, but they don't have no men to take care of them. Like a lot of you convert sisters, you convert to Islam, you got children, their fathers are doughboys. Oh yeah, their fathers are kafirs who are in the drugs or in prison or dead. And you got this kid to take these kids to take care of. So, polygamy is good for those type of cases. But the thing is finding a man that's not going to abuse you in those cases. That's the problem. And that's why I say, don't blame it on the religion. Allah has guidelines. Blame it on the bad men. Allah set the guidelines. If you sisters learned them and held these men accountable for what Allah said to do and make them live up to the example of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then you wouldn't have the problems. But again, knowledge is power. And unfortunately, most Muslim women and men don't understand their religion at all. So anyway, when practiced within the guidelines set by Allah in the Quran and the example of our Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, polygamy can be a great source of stability, companionship, protection, financial support, and all of that. So like I said, it's good and clean. It's good and clean. So let's take a look at polygamy, some points of it. Now, on a secular level, as you guys know, living in a country such as America, sociologists have studied polygamy as a culture and social phenomenon, and their findings and conclusions on polygamy vary. Okay, some of them say that there's a lot of dangers, and that's true. Then some of them say that there's good. That's true. But I want you guys to understand, like y'all see in that video of me where I'm correcting someone who was trying to compare Islam to science. We could care less than a darn what the sociologists have found. Okay? Man can find whatever he wants to find. Again, Allah made it lawful, so it's good and clean. Y'all understand that? We don't allow society to tell us if something is good. Allah made it lawful. That's all we need to know. But we do know that for those people that abuse it, it can be detrimental. But for those who live it the way the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us to, through his example, it could be something good for the family. All right. So we don't allow society to set rules for us as Muslims. We could care less than a darn what scientists think, what sociologists think. It's all about what Allah said. All right. Also, I want all the new shahadas to understand something. Polygamy has always existed. It was a part of every people's lifestyle. The Christians practiced polygamy, so did the Jews. Solomon, alayhi salam, had over 300 wives. Okay? Polygamy existed and was in practice before the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam received the call to prophethood. But when he did receive the call to prophethood, that's when Allah set down laws. The Arabs used to have harems of women. That's where that term comes from. They would have hundreds of wives, and many of those wives were not cared for. They were neglected. So Allah said, I'm going to limit you to only 4. A man can marry 2, 3, or 4, but no more. And to show how great those original companions were, when the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam received the revelation from Allah saying that from this day forward, a man can only have 2, 3, or 4 wives, Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, he divorced all of his wives and kept 3. But when the other 2 refused to convert to Islam, he divorced them too. But that's an example. Remember, Abu Bakr is the second best of this nation. He will be the second person to enter paradise after the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's a great role model for all men in this way of life. He divorced all his wives and kept 3. But when the 2 of them refused to convert, he divorced them too. He wasn't going to be married to no non-Muslim. None of the companions. And I repeat, none of the companions. And I repeat, none of the companions were married to kafirs. That's something else that you Muslim men today need to think about, because many of you are marrying women who don't follow any religion, but they claim that they are Christians, and they're not even chaste, and they hate Islam, and they're trying to get you to leave Islam and come back to their way. Your marriages really are not lawful. So that's something for you men to think about today. But anyway, let's get back to the topic of polygamy. While science may evolve and adapt, you have to understand that Allah's law supersedes all of that. We don't need science or society to tell us that it's okay or good and clean to do polygamy. We already know. Okay? And listen to what Allah says. Here's the example. This is the verse that Allah sent down, limiting the amount of wives a man can have, because the Arabs had hundreds of wives. Listen to what Allah says in the interpretation of the meaning. And if you fear that you shall not be able to deal justly with the orphan girls, then marry other women of your choice, 2 or 3 or 4. But if you fear that you shall not be able to deal justly with them all, then marry only one, or a slave who is your right-hand possession. This way, you are less likely to commit oppression or injustice. So here you can see in this surah, the surah of the women, Allah letting the Muslim men know that they can marry 2, 3, or 4. But as you can see, Allah is emphasizing twice over here how a man should be just with them. And if he can't be just, then he stick to just one. Okay? So we don't care what science got to say or what the sociologists say. All right? Also, again, if you fear that you shall not be able to be just, what is Allah talking about when he speaks about just? He's speaking about the time. A man has to be equal in the time he spends with each wife. 3 days with her, 3 days with the next one, 3 days with me. You can't favor one over the other and give her a week. Or you can't say you mad at me. By the way, brothers, when you're mad at your wife, you still have to go to her if that's her night. How many of you sisters knew that? See why they like to marry converts? The convert women don't know. Oh, Sister Layla, I haven't seen my husband in a month, and he's got 2 other wives. And I asked her, why? What you mean you haven't seen? Is he dead? What's going on? He got mad at me, and so he refused to come around me for a month. Oh, astaghfirullah, this is haram. You know, as Aisha, radiallahu anha, said, you know, the Prophet Muhammad never was remiss in a woman's night, even out of anger. And our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, you have to give the woman her right. If it's her night, you know, you have to go to her home. Now, you may not have to sleep in her bed with her, but you have to be in her home. And Aisha radiallahu anha tells us that a couple of times the Prophet got angry with her, and he asked her permission. Can he sleep in the other room? And she gave it to him. Okay? So I don't know where these brothers get this from, that because you're angry at one wife, you're not going to go see her. You still have to take your sorry behind to her house. Now, whether you sleep in the same bed with her, you don't have to do that. But you got to be in her house. That's her night. And the night begins when? The night begins at Isha. As Aisha radiallahu anha said, the Prophet Muhammad was always at the woman's house at Isha. He would make the Isha prayer at the mosque and then go home to whoever's night it was. So how many of you sisters knew that? Y'all see why these brothers won't marry somebody like Layla? I know Medine. Y'all see why they go get these converts that don't know anything except TLC? Okay, TLC scripted TV. Oh yeah. After the Isha prayer, he's supposed to be at your house, whether he's mad at you or not. Now, whether he shares the bed with you is a different story. He has a right to go sleep on the floor, but he cannot leave the home. That's your right. So when Allah says, be just with them, be just with them, be just with them, he's speaking about give them their night, give them their time. This ain't no free fall. Everybody got that? This ain't nothing like sisterhood, the sister wives, is it? This ain't no LTC, TLC television show. So, you know, that's what's meant by being just with them. And also what's meant by being just with them is not just the time, but also he's the provider. He's the maintainer. He's the protector of all his households. We're not one big happy family. If he's got 2 wives, he has 2 households. He has to provide, maintain, and protect both of those households. You can't say that I'm going to pay the rent and buy the food and clothe this wife here because she don't make me mad. But the other one, I ain't paying her rent. I'm going to throw her in the hood. I ain't buying her no food. She can go get it from her mama. No, he can't do that. He has 2, 3, or 4 households. He has to be just in providing, maintaining, and protecting all of them. That's a man. M-A-N apostrophe exclamation point. How many men do you sisters know? See, a lot of these brothers don't qualify. A lot of these brothers don't qualify for polygamy. And that's why they marry these converts who don't know the deen. Okay? So that's what's meant by just. Just in my time, giving me my time. And also, you are my provider. You are my maintainer. You are my protector. You can't renege on that because you got an attitude with me, because you don't like the way I cook. And again, as I said the last time, every wife has her own accommodations, her own separate home, her own separate apartment, her own separate food, her own separate clothing and shelter, her own separate car. We don't share. This ain't TLC TV. We don't share the same van. You don't come to me and say, hey, Layla, I'm taking the van tomorrow and giving it to your sister wife. No, it ain't happening. Where's my car? Okay? And we have our own homes. We don't live in the same house. This ain't the little house on the prairie. Again, all in that Surah Nisa, Allah speaks about the justice and fairness that a man must show with his wives. And let me talk about something else here for a second. A lot of the sisters say, do we have to live in the same household? No, Nowhere does Allah say in the Quran that all the women live in the same home. And again, who's our example? Who's your example in life? What does Allah say in the Quran? You have the best example in the Prophet Muhammad. Did the Prophet Muhammad house his wives together? No. They all had their own separate apartment. When he would marry a new wife, he would have an apartment built for her and added on to the mosque. So you tell your husband, no, I'm not making it easy for you to abuse me. It's my right to have my accommodations. I'm a queen. I want to live just like Aisha, radiallahu anha, and Salama and them. They had their own accommodations. You're not going to treat me like a backdoor woman because we ain't LDS. We ain't Mormon. Mormons treat their wives like backdoor women. I am better than that. I'm not a kafir. I believe la ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. Allah raised me up over them. Allah raised me up as a Muslim woman over a kafir woman. So you're going to treat me with the respect that my Lord gave me. I'm nobody's backdoor woman. Okay? So you sisters need to understand that. You're supposed to have your own house. The companions, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't house his wives in the same home. You deserve what they had. He's your example. All right? So again, y'all can see, don't blame Allah. Allah set the rules. Allah made the guidelines for our betterment. Allah was looking out for you women. He was looking out for you. He was looking out for me. Because he knows that a man is a man is a man. And a man will do whatever you allow him to do to you. So Allah said, not here. But when you sisters are stupid, y'all allow these men to play on you, hey, then you want to say it's the religion of Islam and you apostate. Oh yeah, look how many women apostate. And they say it was because of the polygamy. No, you apostated because you didn't believe la ilaha illallah. Because Allah set the laws and rules. And Allah said seeking knowledge of this religion is an obligation upon everyone. Before you jumped up and married into a polygamous situation, you should have learned this deen. You should have asked the people of knowledge to tell you what your rights are, roles are in polygamy. You should have asked the people of knowledge to explain to you, how did the Prophet live? How did he treat his wives? And what did they say about it? So blame it on yourself. Don't blame it on Allah. Listen to this. I want you sisters to know, again, the man must be just. Just means with his time. After Isha, if it's your night, he come to your house. If it's your day, he don't have relations with nobody but you. Okay? That's how the Prophet did it. And he also provide and maintain and protect you. But if you think that he's supposed to declare his love to you and that you everything and a bag of chips and you all he ever wanted and all I ever knew, he can tell you all that if that's what that you want to hear. But I want you sisters to know that he has no control over his feelings. As one of the companions said, a man only has one heart and he can love only one woman. That don't mean that he has to show it by treating you like dirt in the public and then catering to her in the public. No, but he ain't got to sit there. If you thinking that it's all about you, he's not in control of that. And let me share this with you guys. Even though the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told everybody when they asked him who did he love, everybody knew that he loved Aisha. But as Salama, as Safiya, as Zainab, as even Sauda and his other wives said, even though Aisha could boast and brag that he loved her more than anyone else, none of those wives felt it, because he treated them all with respect, with dignity. Every wife that the Prophet had knew she was special. Every wife the Prophet had felt loved and cared about. Every wife he had knew without a doubt that she was his world. So even though a man has only one heart and he can love but only one woman, a wise man would have you guessing who it is. Okay? The Prophet was different. He was a prophet of Allah. But if you married to a good man and he's doing polygamy, he'll make all his wives feel that they all of that. And we'll sit around just wondering, because guess what? He shows nothing but love for me. Even though Sauda, radiallahu anha, gave up her nights, he still spent time with her. Her home was the gathering place for the family. Her home was the gathering place of the children. The children loved her. The children loved Sauda. They used to play with her, tease her, and they would all gather at her house, all the kids. And the wives would end up gathering there with her too, because everybody liked Sauda. So she felt love too. And the Prophet let everybody know that Sauda was the rock. She was his rock. Subhanallah. All right. So, love of the heart cannot be controlled. Listen to what Allah says in the interpretation of the meaning. And let those who find not the financial means for marriage keep themselves chaste until Allah enriches them of his blessings. This is speaking about how if a man wants to do polygamy, but he can't afford it, he can't be just, or he can't afford to maintain two households, he doesn't qualify in regards to making women feel special, then he needs to go ahead and just, fast and keep himself chaste. Again, polygamy ain't no easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to do. You got to be a real man, a man, and those are hard to find. I need a soldier. Where they at? Where they at? They hard to find. You sisters know that. I need a soldier. Where they at? Where they at? So you sisters need to think twice before you convert to this religion and jump up and marry some man who got 2 or 3 and you don't know nothing about being number one. Hello. And again, our Prophet Muhammad was an example. Here's the verse I've been quoting all night. Allah says, in the interpretation of the meaning, indeed, in the messenger of Allah, do you have a good example to follow? How did he treat his wives? How did he divide his time with them? What did he do if it was a wife's night? Did he have sex with another wife if it wasn't her night? No. So again, follow his example. So I'm going to stop right here. Supana kalahuma wa bihamdika ashadu online lahaila anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. And again, I hope you new converts see Islam. It's not just a religion. It's a way of life defined for us by Allah. There's rules. There's guidelines in everything: how to eat, how to sleep, how to answer the call of nature, how to pray, how to marry, how to divorce, how to have sexual relations, how to raise children. Allah has given us the guidelines for all of that. We have to learn them before we journey into them. And then we wouldn't end up with so much divorce and heartache and apostation and all of that. You may end up like me, single, but hey, that's life. All right, any questions or comments? Questions, comments, Zoom people, y'all in here? Or did I disconnect from Zoom?
Right here.
Oh, I didn't disconnect. Oh, I think I must have fixed it. So I didn't disconnect. I must have fixed my internet issue. Oh, okay. Yes, any questions from y'all? What about you, brother? I see you're here. Walaikum salam. You got some comments or questions, brother? I don't like that name you got, but you got any questions or comments? Y'all, by the way, don't nobody ban him. He's Muslim. He just, yes, he was. And you want somebody that's going to follow his example. And that's, if you sisters go into that polygamy, y'all need to talk that stuff with these brothers. See, that stuff ain't in the book because Brother Daryl Abdullah Kirk probably didn't know. But see, I know them hadiths. Oh, yes, there's certain rules about them nights. The night begins at Isha. And if it was my night, he ain't having relations with no other woman. He never did that.
Actually, I talk about that in my second book.
Oh, is it? Oh, you did. So you did get it. Okay, good. Where's the second one? Is it available yet?
Sacred Bonds is part of a trilogy.
Okay,
so
good.
Sacred Bonds deal with the surface information concerning the family. Sacred Abode, that deals with, various things that are internal in the family, like child molestation.
Oh my God.
Also, like what you mentioned about polygamy, the times of the night, things like that. It goes deeper on the psychological level of the family.
Well, I'll be doing it next.
Kingdom Within is the third and the final book. And that's basically a review, but it's actually short stories of different families.
Oh.
And at the end of each story, you have choices to make. Like those old 80s books called Choose Your Own Path.
Oh, yeah.
Option 1, she divorced her brother. Option 2, she seek counsel, whatever.
Oh.
And then you turn to that page and then see if your choice was correct. But of course, it's all supported by Quran and Sunnah. But yeah, I couldn't put everything in the first one. You see how thick it is.
Yeah, and I love it. Everybody's loving this book.
The last book is 123,000 words. So this is a process of years that I've put this together. I've learned, I bumped my head, made my mistakes, and I've grown.
You did a good job, brother Abdullah Kirk. You did a good job. This book is excellent. I love teaching it.
You're doing a good job teaching it. And you're bringing out hadith, and I'd be like, hey, I forgot that.
But I'm proud of you. I mean, you did it. I mean, this is excellent. It's very well written. It's just wonderful. And these new shahadas, they loving it too.
Well, I pray to Allah that it benefits the family. That's my biggest concern. There's the family. And I would love for every Muslim to be able to have the opportunity to look at it, because even just talking to a lot of the brothers at the masjid where I go, a lot of them have no clue of a lot of this stuff.
They don't. And that's why I was telling these new shahadas, because boy, And that's why I tell them, why y'all think they running after y'all to put up, they ain't gonna come to a woman and know her rights and stuff. And then you end up in these bad situations. But they need to learn the ding before they jump up and marry people too, you know. Seeking knowledge is an obligation, even on you new shahadas. Y'all got to learn the rules of marriage, even if it's just a one marriage. I mean, you know, you got to learn the rules.
I would never encourage polygamy to brothers. They'll ask me about it because they know I practice it. But I say, oh, no. And I ask them questions about how are you doing with your first wife?
Right.
And so they'll give me a clue of somewhere where, well, what she do is I get upset and I said, well, don't think about it. Just multiply her 2, 3, or 4 times because you're dealing with different minds, different emotional states. And you have to be mentally and emotionally balanced. And trust me, I had to learn that the hard way. But alhamdulillah, I stuck it out, so I consider myself somewhat of a pro.
Yeah, you got to be a man, a MAN soldier. Not every man can do this, you know. Subhanallah.
Polygamy is strictly for the warriors, not for the weak.
And that's true. And even for the women, you got to be a strong-minded woman too, because that jealousy is deep, man. We women can't curtail that. That's hard. You got to have your mind set on something totally different, you know. It's not fair, and I definitely don't recommend it for none of these young girls. None of them. Not none of my young babies here soon to follow you date. Nope.
I wouldn't even recommend it for young men.
You right. You got to be.
I feel a man should be in his 40s and well up before he starts.
Women too. That's me. 40s and up, and independent.
Because there's a lot of independence involved for the woman, you know. She's by herself most of the times. Alhamdulillah.
Sister Jamila, she said this book is teaching the right and safe way to have a good marriage. Yes, indeed, Sister Jamila. Exactly. And for those of you who don't have, are they still buying the book?
Yeah, I still get the last time I checked was like a month ago, and I had a bunch of sales on it.
Good, yeah, because the new they y'all better buy it up.
Second one coming out soon.
Yeah, that's why I'm waiting. Yeah, by the time y'all still got a ways to go in this book. That's why I'm taking my time. I'm trying to give you enough time to get it out because I want to go straight from this one to that one. You know, that's why I'm taking my time. I usually do it once a week, but I'll fill in with it. You know, when Dramali does like he did today, cancel his class. Yeah. But I like it once a week to try to give you time to get that second one out.
Yeah, but I pray that it's a benefit for the Ummah.
Oh, yeah. They all typing that it's a great benefit. They all typing it. A lot of blessings in this. Yes, indeed, guys. Yes, it's on Amazon, Sister Kimmy. Yes, you need to get the book too, Kimmy. Yeah. And then you listen to my recordings, because if you're thinking about getting married, you don't do anything since you're a new shahada until you learn the rules. Get caught up. Listen to my playlist. And we're on chapter 20. What was that, 25? We got a ways to go. But still, yeah, get the book. And you don't need no polygamy. She says she ain't interested in no polygamy. She says that she came out of polygamy and converted to Islam. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, guys. Tomorrow. Yes. Tomorrow is the Sunnahfollower Kids program. Yes. And that's at what time? Yeah, 2:00. Yeah, Sunday. Yeah. We have the Sunnahfollowers Kids program at 2:00. We have Brother Mukhtar's class tomorrow. He's going to be continuing with Khalid bin Walid. And you have my 6:30 class and this class again. Yes, I'll finish up this chapter. I split the chapter in 2 parts. I'm trying to make it slow so the next edition will be out. The next, the second of the trilogy. Yeah, Dramali messed me up, but I just did half that chapter. We'll do the other half tomorrow. Yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to log out for tonight. Inshallah, make sure the kids are here. I'm going to work on their PowerPoint now. Make sure the kids are here at 2. And yeah, that's Brother Abdullah Kirk's book too. Exactly, the Dunya. If you guys haven't purchased Dunya, make sure you go to Amazon and pick it up too. Both of them. Yes. Oh, you liked last week's class? Oh, she said her kids, they really enjoyed last week and they were been implementing the hadith that I ended with too. Oh, good. MashaAllah, I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. Yeah. Yes. So, well, I'm Eastern. So it's 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oh, you're Central. So it's 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. your time then, I guess. Yeah.
Central is 11.
You ain't no. That's your time. You're West Coast.
Yeah, that's Pacific.
That's Pacific. Yeah. Central is an hour behind me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yes, 1 o'clock your time. Okay, guys, I'm gonna log out so I can work on this PowerPoint for tomorrow's kids class. And I think I'll order me some more coffee. So glad they open 24 hours. All right, so subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum. The Zoom room will be open, but that's the last class. Okay, wa alaikum salam, sister. Oh, she's new. She likes my